Welcome to Sunday Politics, coming to you live from Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Kayode Okikiolu. Well, just less than 2 weeks to the end of 2021, a very eventful year politically, if you ask me. The nation has witnessed one of the most difficult governorship elections in its history, and that's according to INEC. In security, we've seen the change of service chiefs at the start of the year, as well as several wins and losses. Now, one of those losses is the killing of 38 people by bandits across 3 villages in Giwa local area of the local government area of Kaduna State between yesterday and this morning. Now, the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Arawan, lists the villages to include Karumfawa, Marke, and Rehaya. He added that the bandits also burned several houses, trucks, and cars, along with agricultural produce at various farms. So that's for security, one of those losses. Over at the National Assembly, we've also seen landmark legislations, one of which is the Electoral Bill. Now, we've been counting down to the President's decision on that bill here on Channels Television, which the National Assembly transmitted to him on November the 19th. And going by the Nigerian Constitution, which demands that the President sign any bill transmitted to him within 30 days, it would seem time is now up for the President to signify whether he has assented to the bill or not. Well, this is one document that is expected to smoothen our election process and also introduce the use of technology. And seeing that we are more than a year away from the next general election in 2023, and with the President's promise to bequeath to Nigerians an improved electoral process, all eyes are definitely on this one. Well, the options before the President were to either sign the bill or withhold his assent. The National Assembly can then choose to pass the bill into law in spite of the President's rejection, or reintroduce it for another round of legislative process. So a couple of options ahead for us. But while we continue to wait on that one, let's tell you that President Muhammadu Buhari is back in Nigeria after a 3-day trip to Istanbul, where he participated in the 3rd Turkey-Africa Partnership Summit. Well, the president arrived this afternoon via the official BBJ aircraft, which has been under repairs and upgrade for months. It was received upon arrival at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, by the Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, among others. Well, in Istanbul, he also met with the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan before participating in the summit, where he spoke on concrete partnerships to end terrorism in Africa, global climate change, amongst other issues. He was accompanied on that trip by his wife, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, as well as the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, Defense, FCT, Health, Agriculture, Industry, Trade and Investment, as well as the National Security Advisor and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, that's the NIA. So tonight on the program, we unpack, as it were, the president and his entourage's bags as they return from Turkey. And on the program, we are joined by the president's media aide, Mr. Garba Shehu. He is the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity. He joins us via Zoom this evening. Mr. Garba Shehu, thank you for joining us on the program. And let me just begin by welcoming you and by extension the president and his entourage back from the trip to Turkey. And naturally, as you know, with trips such as this, a lot of Nigerians would want to unpack the bags and to see the gains from this trip. So what more can you tell us regarding that?
Well, thank you for giving us this opportunity and to say to you that the gains will come. And so many of them. Don't forget that at the center of all of the president's engagements in Turkey is the issue of securing Nigerians, making Nigeria safe. Turkey, with their experience, with advancement they have made in weapons manufacture, in technology, and all of that, they have handled matters as we are dealing with now for a long time. So there's a lot we learn from them. And from the engagement with the Turkish President Erdogan, it is clear that we have got that partner we needed who would help Nigeria. They are donating equipment. We are buying some. And we hope as soon as we go into the new year, January, some activity will start in this. In addition to that, of course, we had engagements in the area of trade and investment. A number of investors are coming in, particularly with, you know, with the FCT here in Abuja. One funny thing happened some time ago when President Erdogan came here. He was accommodated in one of the best hotels in city. This is about 2 years ago. And his at the point of departure, he was saying, you don't have hotels in Abuja. I'm going to build hotel for you. Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of commitment that you have from that leadership. So we're expecting commitments in that regard, 5-star hotels, conference centers, real estate, housing, and all of that. Now, in addition to that also, they are coming in with a deluge of schools, hospitals, in order that we get the best, that the world can offer. These are some of the things that have been clinched, and they will begin to flow in the moment the conclusions are reached on what to do and how to proceed.
So you've referenced security, trade, and you even talked about education. So if we were to put a figure to these gains, I mean, you understand how a lot of people look forward to seeing something regarding that. Is there a figure that you can put in terms of amount, $1 billion or more, to this, benefit that we'll be getting from Turkey?
No, I cannot give figure now. We are expecting a defense team from Turkey in January. What has happened over there with our teams, our heads of security and defense intelligence agencies, is that something of a needs assessment was carried out. What is it that Nigeria really needs in order to deal with the situation of insecurity? So it's up to them that they give whatever they want. But for us, we are interested in buying in this world today. There are countries you go to, cash at hand, they won't sell weapons to you. So we're already engaging with them on warships. Now, the supply of drones is particularly exciting for Nigeria because Turkey has accomplished so much, and the world is witnessed how effective Turkish drone technology is in recent battles that they have fought on the side of some Asian countries and some places in Africa.
So regarding the benefits and the gains from this trip, for a lot of people, they will try to maybe project based on what we have seen in the past. And I mean, the president has been on some of these trips in recent times. In fact, in the past 90 days, the president has visited over 7 countries. And, he was in New York September the 19th for the 76th session of UNGA. And after that, in October, we saw the president visit Ethiopia. That was for Prime Minister Ahmed's inauguration. And that was essentially to sort of felicitate with the country at that time. And then October the 25th, we saw the president's visit to Saudi Arabia for an investment conference. Then COP26 on October the 31st. That's the climate change conference in Glasgow, Scotland. Then November the 10th, the president was in France, where he met the French president, also attended that peace forum. November the 13th, again, the president was in South Africa for the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. So it's been quite a lot. In fact, December the 2nd, just this month, he was in UAE for the expo in Dubai. And then December the 16th, which is this recent one, for that Turkey-Africa summit. So, I mean, these are some of the recent trips, specifically the ones we've seen in 3 months. So looking across these ones, Mr. Garbashew, can you tell Nigerians what have been the outcomes from those ones as perhaps a foretaste to what to expect from this recent trip to Turkey?
Well, let me say that each of these trips you have mentioned had a designated purpose, and none of them was classified as being a junket or just some holiday trip. There is a purpose, and when you take note of the fact that the entire world had been shut down for nearly 2 years, and it has reopened, and why don't you make an early start? so that, as they say, the early bird catches the worm. We go there in order that we are a part of the international community. When you mention places like the United Nations or the Peace Forum, Paris Peace Forum, unless if you are not North Korea or a pariah state of sorts, you can stay away from the international community. And for God's sake, the president of Nigeria is #1 envoy of the country. So therefore, he symbolizes this sovereignty and the well-being and the participation of Nigeria in international affairs. And so therefore, when he gets there, we always make the point of saying, this is why Mr. President is going. And at the end of it, we come back, we tell Nigerians what it is that is possible in terms of that which can be achieved. I assure you that there is no frivolity in all of these things. There is a purpose for all of these things. And if Nigeria would choose to stay away from the international community, lock its doors and say, President, don't go anywhere, we are not any less than North Korea. Certainly, you become a pariah nation. That's not who we are.
Right. So just to further justify some of these trips, and I can see that you've been seeing some reports which you've tried to respond to, I mean, in your response. Just to further justify some of the president's trip, for the benefit of those who ask time and again that what is Nigeria gaining, tangible or intangible? So from the list, the about 8 trips I listed, if you could just pick one and tell Nigerians one of the tangible or intangible outcomes of that trip, perhaps to the economy, which we can see right now, to security, which can see right now, or some other sectors of the nation's life.
Okay. In South Africa, where the president was there to participate in the African Trade Fair, you know that this is coming in the context of the take-off formation of the Continental Free Trade Area, the largest trade agreement, free trade agreement anywhere in the world. Nigeria participated in the last one in Cairo, Egypt. Nigerian businesses logged in. They clocked in businesses worth more than $3 billion US. Now, when we went to South Africa, the hope was the numbers that we clinched this year shall exceed that which happened, even the enthusiasm of Nigerian businesses, the numbers in which they were represented. We are expecting something bigger than that. And I'm sure that at the appropriate time, the Ministry of Trade and Investment will put together figures and give Nigerians the outcomes. That's why they are there.
So the last time the Turkish president came to Nigeria, he spoke about some suspected terrorist group who were said to have carried out the failed coup in Turkey. And that got a lot of people alarmed, thinking, wait a minute, is that here in Nigeria? Saying they are very active here in Nigeria. So I wonder, what's the government doing, that's the Nigerian government doing regarding that? Because he talked about sharing intelligence. So what are we doing regarding that?
It's an issue that has been there for some time, and its undercurrents have been there in our relations. And the administration of President Muhammad Buhari has been acting as a true member of the international community. We have our responsibilities under the international system, and in addition to that, of course, when you are calling people to come and invest in your economy, you can't be found expelling business. It's a difficult decision to make. Now, let me say to you that the important thing about this engagement that we just finished from Turkey is that apparently, from my own understanding, the common ground has been achieved between Nigeria and Turkey. And assurances have been given over and over again. Nigerian government will not allow our territory to be used for subversive activities against Turkey. Right. And if we have any evidence that money made from Nigeria is being transmitted to Turkey or to any other country to cause destabilization. This government will stop that. So we think that that issue, which had the potential to threaten the existing cordial relations between our two countries, is a bit calm now. And Turkey is coming back, is resuming all of the things that they had planned to do, including sending another set of investors who will be doing education, who will be doing medicals, and hotel entertainment, films and all of that. So we're expecting quite a lot from them. And I think that the reassurance from our president are such that they have seemed to calm nerves down between these two friendly nations.
There'll always be questions around, the diplomatic issues. This organization that has been designated terrorist by Turkey is not seen as the same by, for example, the EU or UK government. So there'll be questions about how Nigeria wants to play, through these diplomatic issues. But let's move on to the big one, Mr. Garba Shehu, and that's the electoral bill. I mean, we have been counting down to the president's decision, and it will seem that deadline has just passed. So has the president made a decision yet on the electoral bill?
I don't want to speculate on this. What I can tell you is that the president is conscious of his responsibility in this regard. He has been adequately briefed on the pros and the cons of such a signature and the implications for the nation, and which is foremost in his own mind. Is there a decision by the president as we speak? I cannot tell you. I don't know, because if the president decides upon the completion of all his consultations, usually he would be sending a privileged communication to the National Assembly. And when such communication is privileged, it is only received by the National Assembly and on the floor of the Senate and the House of Reps. Speaker or Senate President will read to members. My assumption is that when they come back, we probably will be hearing from them.
It's been 30 days and about 20 hours now since the National Assembly forwarded that law, that bill, I should say, to the president. So, I mean, according to the Constitution, which says that the president, shall within 30 days thereof signify that he assents or that he withholds assent. By the Constitution, 30 days, 20 hours. The time is up. So why don't Nigerians know yet what the president's decision is?
Well, one or two things obviously is about to happen, or already has happened. Either the president has signed or has declined the signature. For us, in the executive arm of the government, there is a protocol governing communication with the National Assembly. Even when we know, even when we have seen it, we don't make a disclosure. The National Assembly would feel rather unkindly treated if we go on the pages of newspaper and say, this is where or what is the president is saying. So please allow time. I believe that they should be in. Tuesday, we're hoping they'll be there in big numbers. They possibly would have something to tell Nigerians. I don't know. I haven't seen anything and haven't been briefed.
But you understand how big this is. I know you appreciate that. I mean, the pressure. I mean, we saw what played out on the floor of the National Assembly in the process of, trying to pass this bill. You know how much, not just CSOs, but Nigerians have clamored essentially for a new or an addition, an amendment to the current law we have that guides the electoral process in Nigeria. So this is a major one, a very big one. So to what gain, really, will the concealing of the president's decision serve? We should already know, because the Constitution is quite clear that it shall within 30 days signify that he assents or otherwise. So why keeping this under wraps? Is that the president's nature?
No, the thing is that I think that you are making the assumption that as we speak, there is no decision. And I'm not in a position to tell you yes or no. But given the way things are done, The president would have completed his consultations some time back. The president would be communicating with the National Assembly whatever he decides, either yes or no. And as I said, it will be disrespectful of the National Assembly for me at this time to say to you, this is the content of the president's communication, assuming that the communication has been sent to them. So, as I said earlier, allow them to resume. I believe that the president will not act in breach of the Constitution. No, he will do what is right.
So, indeed, you're saying that if the president, I mean, the Constitution says 30 days. So if the president will be acting within the confines of the Constitution, then he should have, according to the Constitution, made his decision already within 30 days. Am I right?
Yeah, I will assume that if the Constitution says the president must decide within 30 days, then the president will decide within 30 days. And the Constitution did not say there should be a disclosure of that decision within 30 days to the public. Maybe a disclosure to the National Assembly has been made. And I wish this pressure will be mounted on the National Assembly. The principal officers, they probably may have received something as we speak now. Right. I don't know.
Well, let me just quote again the Constitution. That's 4 of that section of the Constitution that talks about, you know, the electoral bill that is passed to the president. It says, where a bill is presented to the president for assent, he shall within 30 days. Now, I'm reading word for word. Signify that he assents or that he withholds assent. So, signification. Doesn't say whether to the National Assembly or to the Nigerian people, but at least, I mean, the people are the ones that are anticipating this, so it's expected that a signification will be made to the people. But just hold on for a moment, Mr. Shehu. Let's expand this conversation, as it were. And we're joined on the program as well by Mr. Debo Ologunagba, who is the PDP National Publicity Secretary. Honorable Ologunagba, it's good to have you on the program tonight. I mean, we've been having this conversation with Mr. Garba Shehu concerning the electoral bill, which was, you know, transmitted to the president. And within the confines of the Constitution, the deadline has passed. I mean, judging by the fact that we've gone 30 days and over 20 hours. How is the PDP reading this? Honorable Ologunagba, can you hear me? Okay, well, we'll try to work on that one. Mr. Garba Shehu, let me come back to you now. So, is it true indeed? Okay, I understand. Pardon me, Mr. Garba Shehu. I understand we have Mr. Honorable Ologunagba with us. Can you hear me? If you can, please go ahead, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Cowdy. I hope you, can you hear me too?
Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Yeah, for me, I think the starting line before talking about electoral bill amendment is for the PDP. And I speak for the PDP this evening, and we commiserate and condole Nigerians who have endured so much hardship and insecurity. And you just referenced a while ago in your reporting that 38 people, 38 Nigerians have been brutally murdered in the last 24 hours. I think that should be the starting point. We condole with Nigerians. We have endured the colossal disappointment and the national embarrassment that this APC government has become. It is sad that we're in this, but I know that hope is on the way, and Nigerians should expect a better security arrangement and safety for their lives in the new PDP government in 2023. First of all, because this is very, very profoundly important, the primary purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people, as provided for in the Constitution, specifically Section 14, subsection 2B. If a government cannot provide security for its people, that government has no legitimacy. And that is what we have suffered in the last 6 to 7 years from the APC government. And it is sad. It's a sad commentary for our nation. But like I said, help is on the way, hope is on the way. Now, I will now relate to that, to the penchant of this government to act unconstitutionally. Now, I listened to Mr. Garba Shehu, and it was so distressing to say that he cannot speak on whether the president has signed or withhold his assent. And I was asking, what is governance? It is to give information to the people. And the Constitution is so clear. It says the president shall, the word shall is mandatory. Now we have a president who has kept Nigeria in limbo for 20 hours after the deadline had passed. In the same environment, that is an impeachable offense. And for the PDP, we think that is irresponsible of any government and to keep the people in darkness. The obligation of the president and the APC is to tell us if he's going to sign or he has withheld assent. To imagine that we can begin to guess. And he says something which is very clear. He said, when the National Assembly resumes, come on, this is not how to run a country. And it's unfortunate that this is what we've gotten from the APC government. So for us in PDP, the president should sign or withhold his assent. And in any event, on the details of the bill as relating to us, we will respond to that, particularly on the issue of direct primaries that is contained in that act. We do not believe, and I think it's unconstitutional anyway, that the legislature or the APC control legislature can determine how a party can determine how it produces its primary candidate for election. For us, the Constitution provides for freedom of association and of choice. The idea of how who becomes a candidate of a party is an internal process of a party, and there are options available. As long as a party is within and is in respect of its own constitution and is not inconsistent with the Constitution of Nigeria, then it does not lie with the legislature to determine and prescribe a particular way of how to choose a candidate. So this is constricting democracy. And this is what the APC populated assembly is trying to do. So for us in PDP, we do not believe that the president should, or the legislature should, determine that this is how a party should elect or present his own candidate. So it is unconstitutional. So the issue of whether he even assent or sign it, it's not even within, it's not neither here nor there, because we do not believe in that particular way. We believe that the bill should get back to the National Assembly, and that provision which is offensive, which is unconstitutional, should be expunged from the bill as it is. You will recall that the APC populated assembly, the National Assembly, had wanted to railroad Nigeria by saying that transmission of results should not take place at the unit, which is the foundation of electoral process. Now, it took the courage and the leadership of the PDP caucus to stage a walkout from the assembly at the House of Representatives for the APC to begin to rework that, and that's where we have in that today a provision that allows for transmission. But with regards to direct primaries, we are not for that. We allow the parties to have their freedom as guaranteed by the Constitution. In any event, and we should not lose sight of all this.
Well, pardon me to...
whole primary, direct primary, indirect primary is actually a proxy war within the APC.
Okay.
Because it's a party that is...
Honorable Olugwagba, pardon me. I would ask you to hold your thoughts for a moment.
They can't agree or not.
Pardon me, I'll ask you to hold your thoughts for a moment. If you can hear me, we're due for our break right now, but not to worry. I'll let you land on that point you're making, because to me, it sounds as though you're even saying, as the bill stands right now, you wouldn't want the president to assent to it because of that direct and indirect primary provision. So We'll explore this when we return from this break. Don't forget, Mr. Garba Shehu is also with us on the program tonight to give us a sense of what the president is thinking, doing, or planning to do on this electoral bill, which a lot of Nigerians are looking forward to. So we'll continue the conversation after the break, gentlemen. Plus, we'll be joined by the executive governor of Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike, who himself is a lawyer, to talk about this issue, as well as the state of the nation and the PDP's plan ahead of 2023. This and more in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We're in our concluding moments with Mr. Garba Shehu, who's a senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, and the Honorable Debo Ologunagba, who is the PDP National Publicity Secretary. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. So, Honorable Ologunagba, I'll let you land on that point you were making, because it sounds to me as though you're even saying if the president were to assent to this bill, it will not go down well with the PDP. Am I right?
Very well so. Kayode, thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to make my thought and pass it across. We believe that it is within the right of parties to determine how to produce the primary candidate for election. And it is unconstitutional to prescribe a particular mode, because under the Constitution, people and association have a right to freedom of association and choice. It is unconstitutional for the legislature to prescribe only one mode. The parties have freedom to determine how. In any event, like I said, this whole idea about direct primary, indirect, it's been tried before, and we shouldn't lose sight of that. The PDP in 1999 started with the direct primary process for electing candidate for elections. And what do we find? It was almost like a nightmare, because there were complaints and concerns about falsification, fraud, and so many other complaints.
Right.
Above all, it was deemed to be very, very expensive.
Okay, I think that point has been made. Honorable Ologunagba, pardon me to butt in, pardon me. I think that point has been made. I just wanted you to land on that so we can take Mr. Shehu's response to some of the points you have made as we wind down in about 2 minutes on this one. So, Mr. Garba Shehu, let's leave it on this note. So for a lot of Nigerians who are wondering, is the president taking us for granted? The time has elapsed. Why hasn't the president communicated his decision to us as Nigerians who voted the president in? Earlier on, also, the PDP released a statement demanding that the president visit some of the affected areas in terms of insecurity, Kaduna, Sokoto, and the rest. And also, the PDP is saying it looks like the president might be taking Nigerians for granted. So for those who have that opinion, what do you have to say to them as we wind down?
Sorry, you have to tell me again that those states you mentioned, you said he hasn't, what, Sokoto, Kaduna, and what about those states?
The PDP earlier today released a statement asking the president to visit some of these affected areas in terms of security, reference Kaduna, Niger, and the rest.
No, I think that anybody following up on statements would note that we do give statements on behalf of the president, which are sanctioned by the president. And it is interesting, of course, the new spokesperson of the PDP is even querying why Garba Shehu would speak for the president. And you wonder himself, then why is he seated in the studio also talking on behalf of the PDP? People are mandated to be representative in carrying out this duty. He is there because the PDP has sent him. Otherwise, people would have sent him back to say, go and bring your chairman. That's not the way it is done. And two, they're entitled to their opinion on the electoral bill and all of that.
Right.
We don't contest their position. They're entitled to hold their own opinions. But on the question of whether this should be announced on China's television, now hold him to this. He has given you an assurance that going forward, the PDP, whatever they want to do, if they happen to be in them and hope not, they will announce on China's television before they go to National Assembly. We wish them good luck.
Well, Mr. Garba Shehu, this is certainly an ongoing conversation, but we'd like to thank you so much for taking time out to speak with us. Mr. Garba Shehu, the President's media aide, as well as Honorable Debo Ologunagba, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time on the program tonight.
Thank you.
Well, let's head over to River State, and we're joined on the program this evening by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of River State, Nyesom Wike. It's good to have you on the program, Your Excellency. I know that you have spoken about the electoral bill and your expectations in the past, so let's take it from that point. Seeing the turn of events, listening to the President's media aid, what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I want to say what I said before, and that Nigerians will begin to understand more of the government in power. I did say, and it's very clear, that the president was not going to sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. So I continue to say it, and I stand firm, because I know Mr. President, and I know the government, I know the party in power. So many people are talking about direct primaries. That is not the problem. That's not the problem, because the major issue is the transmission, electronic transmission of results. Now, what the ruling party in their conspiracy is trying to deceive Nigerians that the mere inclusion of the direct primaries in the Electoral Act Amendment is the problem why the president does not want to sign, or why he has refused to sign. So the issue is this. Mr. President signed the petroleum industry bill and then sent back for an amendment of that bill. Now, if the Mr. President means well for this country, and if the President, as he has promised Nigerians, that he wants to conduct a free and fair election, nothing stops Mr. President by assenting to this amendment and then seek for an amendment as regards to the direct or indirect mode of conducting the primaries of the various political parties. So if anybody tells you that ab initio from time that APC had wanted to support the electronic transmission of the result of 2023 election, the president must be a joker. Because I do know that in 2018-2019, why did the president not sign the issue of card reader? Because Mr. President was told, if you sign that, that of course will lead to a failure of the election. Now, they have now come back now to tell us again that one of the reasons why, or the major concern for Mr. President, is that of that direct mode of doing primaries of the political parties. And I did tell Nigerians, if you watch the day the Attorney General of the Federation spoke, you would know that it is clear that Mr. President was not going to sign it. So I don't know why Nigerians are worried that, look, they are shocked. How would it be shocked? You should have known the modus operandi. You should have known the antecedent of the party in power. So for me, what are you going to be shocked for? What are you disappointed for? You're only disappointed if you expected that, yes, this is what they are going to do. And knowing them, I know there's no way Mr. President will sign it, because all they did, they met and agreed, look, put these direct primaries to be a reason he could now use to reject the amendment being sought by the National Assembly. And they also know that National Assembly will be closing by 21st of this December, after they have passed the budget, and then they go on break. So people should understand this gimmick. And I really pity Nigerians when they come and tell them these stories and they're expecting Mr. President to sign this. That never, Mr. President has never been sincere, APC has never been sincere that are going to conduct a free and fair election in 2023. And why are people worrying themselves? They should have known that that is what this party stands for. That's what this party, they don't want this country to move on. So each time I watch them on television or any other, I watch the media assist, and I was laughing. Whom are they deceiving? I do know, and I told Nigerians on time, do not say you are disappointed, because Mr. President has never disappointed anybody. APC has never disappointed anybody. You know they won't do it, and they're not going to do it. And that's the truth of the matter.
Well, being a lawyer yourself, Your Excellency, I'd like to get your interpretation of that section 58 sub 4, which speaks about how, bills should be dealt with when they are transmitted to the president. But first, you referenced the meeting, and you said that it was said during that meeting that, that clause should be, put into the electoral bill. When did this meeting happen? Between who? Can you, tell Nigerians?
Please, you have to understand me. I didn't say Attorney General was in that meeting. I never said so. I said, if you had, when Attorney General was being interviewed in your channels for politics today by Shehun, you would know that they've already made up their mind that Mr. President was not going to sign this. I said so. Secondly, knowing the antecedent, knowing the modus operandi of APC, you must learn. You see, when you say party, when you say government, you know how to operate. Have they been sincere? What have they told you they will do, and they have done it? You should know. So you shouldn't be taken by surprise. It is not possible. So what I said was that the day Attorney General was interviewed, Attorney General said, look, that they are going to take into cognizance security implication, financial implication, this implication, and this and that. So if you read this, you will know that already a decision had been taken that Mr. President was not going to sign this. And again, it was a plan. How did they plan it? They know National Assembly was going for their Christmas vacation on 21st of December. Now, they had waited up to this time. Tomorrow is Monday. By the time they have received the letter, what can they do? The next day, they've gone on vacation. So, and then people do not understand the gimmicks, their strategies. So, and when you talk about transmission, let me tell you, please, my brother, Nigerians, you must not be deceived further. You must not be fooled further. Enough is enough that you cannot understand the pattern, the strategy of this party in government today. Now, Mr. President, having failed, I'm not going to, you say, have I seen the letter? I don't need to see the letter to know that Mr. President, in fact, from what I said from day one and from intelligence, Mr. President, tomorrow, the National Assembly will receive the letter that Mr. President has declined his assets. But apart from that, the next issue you may want to ask me, what can National Assembly do? What can they do? By law, by the Constitution, they have a right to override by two-thirds of the two chambers to veto Mr. President decline. But I have said severally, and without any apologies to anybody, there is nobody, the leadership of National Assembly, as you have it today, cannot, I refuse, cannot put in the agenda of the two chambers to say they will override, veto Mr. President decline. I have challenged anybody who wants to hear it. I have challenged anybody who wants to know it. It is not a matter of sentiment. That is the truth. Because you don't have, in the National Assembly today, you don't have that. You don't have people who have what it takes to say, Mr. President, this is not right. Mr. President, this is wrong. We have promised Nigerians we want to do a free and fair election to the satisfaction of everybody. And no, even if a member, because for you to discuss it, it must be put in the other paper, and it will never be put. So do not bother yourself, and that's what Nigerians should know. they have no choice to come out to say enough is enough. Can we continue to allow this party to take Nigeria for a ride? Can we continue to begin to fold our hands and say, look, anything that they want to do, if that is the case, then everybody should go home and rest. But the point is that Nigeria should now say, look, this party, enough is enough. We can't continue with this. You can't continue to deceive us. You can't continue to tell us as if we are not there. This country belongs to everybody. I'm not speaking on behalf of the party. I'm speaking because as a person who believes in this country, as a person who loves democracy to thrive in this country, we should tell the party what you are doing is not for the interest of Nigeria. And that's the position. Whether we want to take it or not. That is true.
We listened to the National Publicity Secretary of your party, Honorable Ologwagba, and for him, he even believes that the president assenting to this bill in this manner, with that provision of direct primary and all, will be counterproductive for the party as well. But you think that the president can assent to it and then make some form of amendment in the future. So for your party, is the PDP worried that with the current electoral law, it does not stand a chance in 2023? Is that the fear for your party? If you can hear me.
It's not.
Okay, please go ahead.
Let's not talk about party. Let's talk about. I'm hearing you. Okay, we're not talking about party. We're talking about what is good for Nigerians. What will make Nigeria to be respected in the community of nations as a country that believes in true, transparent, to elect leadership. That's what we're talking about. The publicity secretary of PDP as the spokesperson of the party has spoken. I am not the spokesperson of the party. But let me also say this. The issue here, I have said before, is not about direct primary or indirect primary. The issue that the APC smuggled that direct primaries in order for president to refuse the assent because there is a provision for electronic transmission of result, that if that was not the case, the president would have assented to it and asked for an amendment as regards to the issue of direct primaries or indirect primaries for the parties. So for me, it is not the issue of direct primaries or indirect primaries. They only use that as a reason why Mr. President should now decline assent. And that's what we're saying. And if that is the case, then how do you now say that 2023 election will be transparent? How? It's not possible. All you are telling us is that Nigeria will not be in a position to have confidence in the electoral process, because if you don't transmit results electronically, people begin to doubt whichever results that you are bringing in, and which has been happening before. It's like where you use security agencies to go and hijack materials, and results are written, and then you maneuver your way to the collection center. So it's not about our party. What our party is saying, Nigerians, with this refusal to assent to this electoral amendment, and is this party telling Nigerians that they should be hopeful there will be a free, credible, and transparent election? So for me, it's not about party. It's about the interest of Nigeria. When you elect people in a transparent way, they will have confidence in the leadership, and Nigerians will begin to hold leaders accountable. Because if you don't perform, Nigerians know that in the next election they will vote and throw you away. But if you don't have this, if you don't accept these results being transmitted electronically, where a situation I will use security agencies, where in a situation I will go and muzzle INEC to bring in results, and then by the time I win, I'm not doing anything. Nobody can talk to me. I will tell people, why are you talking to me? Do you know why? Do you know how I became a governor? I became a governor by using security agencies. I became a governor by using the INEC. But if it were a situation where people's vote will count. Every public officer elected will sit up, whether you're in the executive, whether you're in the legislature, you will know if you don't perform, you have no choice next time to even come back to say you want to recontest. So that is Governor, the position we were saying.
Well, Governor Wike, we're in our concluding moments on this. Clearly a big conversation, but let's see what we can do in about a minute as we wind down on this conversation. So, I mean, the president, speaking about 2023, has said he looks forward to that time when he can go back to his farm. And he said it time and again that, I mean, there are no plans for him moving forward. His aide has said that, well, he's made his decision, or maybe not, but that will be made known in the coming days. So, speaking about 2023, Governor Wike, I mean, we'll be going into this election. I mean, we don't know what will happen with this electoral law, but if it's not assented to, we'll be going into the 2023 election with a law that was amended by the PDP government. That's President Goodluck Jonathan in 2015. You recall that law. So essentially, it's not a law that is alien to the PDP, but overall, as we look forward, what should be the next line of action for Nigerians, for the National Assembly?
My problem with us is that why do we talk about the law was amended under Jonathan's government? Assuming that is correct. If there was an amendment and then you are trying to improve on the electoral process, as at that time, the issue of candidates was not in the Constitution. The issue of transmitting results electronically was not there. And now they are saying, look, if we really want to have a free and fair and transparent election, there is the need to now include this in the Electoral Act. And Mr. President, like you said, has promised Nigerians that he's waiting for such a day. He will go back to his farm after handling or trying to hand over to whoever wins election. Now, by refusing to sign or to assign to this Electoral Act amendment, how do you now believe what Mr. President said is correct, is genuine? Certainly is not. But for what Nigerians expect from the National Assembly, which I am not one of those that expect, because like I've said before, none of them, none, not one, can stand up in any of the chambers to say, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker of the House, Mr. Senate President, we have to act for the interest of Nigeria. Let us override or veto Mr. President's refusal to assent to this amendment. So, yes, Nigerians believe that this is what the National Assembly should do, but I don't have that confidence. And I know that the Presidential Assembly, as it were today, cannot rise to the occasion to give Nigerians what they want. So you should know, in all ramifications, the party, APC, has failed Nigerians. And that's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of the matter.
Well, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike, certainly been a pleasure speaking with you on this one. It's definitely not the last we've heard, so the coming days will be quite interesting. Thank you again for your time on the program tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So that's our package for tonight, everyone. The coming days clearly hold a lot. Do have a good night. I'm Coyote Fikiri.